The conference that we're attending, that you are largely responsible for, is an exciting example of what you're talking about. It seems to me there are people here from different disciplines, from different parts of the country. How are you feeling about it? Different agencies? Mm-hmm.
I think the conference is going well. You overestimate my role in it. I think there are a lot of people involved, a lot of sponsors. The University of Nebraska is just one of a number of universities, the Leopold Center, various federal agencies, nonprofit groups, and all. So it really has been a team effort, including people from the chemical industry, others. I'm very excited about the mix of people that's here. We would like to have had a few more, of course. We would like to have had the potential for a critical mass of a team for each state, a team that could go back and then catalyze the same kind of activity in that state. We're a long ways from the coasts, a long ways from the south. It was probably unrealistic to expect that we'd have 50 state teams here. But I think we do have a critical mass from a number of our Midwestern states. We certainly have a critical mass from each region. And on the third day of the conference, there will be activities where these regional people get together, talk about common needs, common challenges, ways they can network, get together, start putting together joint projects where they in fact share resources. I may have a problem that I don't know how to solve, and you may know an agency that has funds that is interested in that problem. And this kind of networking really helps to get things going. I would anticipate, as a result of the conference, there will be some regional follow-through conferences or workshops similar to this where people fine-tune a little more their focus. For example, in the West, looking more at irrigated agriculture, specialty crops, vegetables, fruits. Others in the Northeast looking at dairying, certainly much more, and potatoes and other crops and systems that are important there. And then I think, ultimately it will be state and local teams, groups of people, coalitions that will make this happen in the long term. So hopefully we're doing a conference once that will in fact catalyze these activities down the road in other parts of the country.
On a more regional and perhaps even state-by-state basis.
Right.
I suspect that might very well happen. It's, as I said, an exciting conference. If you had predictions to make about the future, do you feel that sustainable agriculture is going to become mainstream agriculture?
I think it has to. I guess I said at the outset, nobody wants a non-sustainable agriculture. So,
yes.
So by definition, agriculture must be sustainable. The question really is how we do it. And various people have talked about different approaches to the use of technology. I think we have leaned on technology very heavily. I think we will continue to use technology, but perhaps in a more selective, more rational way. We'll try our best to look at the long-term impacts of a given practice, a given product, a given whatever that goes into the production activity. And we'll try to understand as best we possibly can from today's vantage point, today's ability to measure effects, what will happen 10 years, 20 years from now as a result of using this. And I mean not just biologically, not just within the soil profile or the groundwater, but also what will happen socially as a result of this change, minor or major. What will this do to the structure of agriculture? Will it make agriculture as a whole more or less sustainable, more viable economically for how many people? We need to look at our technology, put it up against some new yardsticks. And I think this is a difficult one. We measure production in one way. We measure bushels per acre or tons per hectare.
How much?
How much? How much? We weigh.
Yep.
Likewise, we measure our economic success in dollars per acre. Less frequently in dollars per farm, but mostly net profit per acre. Now, are these the real yardsticks that are going to sustain us? They happen to be our current measuring sticks, but do we need something that in fact measures production or economic gain, economic return per unit of limited resource? Here it's water in Nebraska. Eventually, in many places it will be energy. How do we measure against an energy or a resource or a water yardstick? What about quality of life? What about an environmental yardstick? Can we put an environmental sustainability yardstick? Indonesia, for example, is beginning to look at a new term. They're not looking at gross national product. They're looking at what they call GSP, gross sustainable product.
In Indonesia?
In Indonesia. They've, in fact, discontinued the use of many insecticides in that country with precisely these concerns in mind, energy and environment. So there are models around. We hear over and over that we are the most productive, we are the envy of the world, and we are in many ways. Perhaps we shouldn't be in some ways. We obviously have a high standard of living. People perhaps should aspire to be healthier and live better and have good diet. They probably would not aspire to some of the consequences of the systems that we're implementing, and we need to learn more about those. As we export ideas, as we export people with our training, we need to look at this problem-solving process. What can be sustained in the long term? And we need to keep in mind that we are only the most efficient envy of the world, if you like, against one yardstick.
That's true. You're talking about different values entirely.
We're the best, if you want to call it that, in terms of return to labor.
Yeah.
Any other yardstick, and we're behind many other places, yields per acre are far greater in places where they multiple crop the land and get anywhere from 3 to 6 crops per year. Yield per unit of capital invested, we're probably among the lowest because we have very high investment capital. Yield per unit of water use, where you have rain-fed agriculture, it's much more efficient. Yield per unit of energy invested, some of the more extensive rotations or gathering kinds of systems are far more efficient than ours.
And we are
10 or 20 times more efficient.
Pretty humbling when you think about it.
Well, it's all in how we look at the world, and we have a lot to learn from other countries. And the 10-plus years that I've spent overseas looking at small farms, looking at multiple crop systems, looking at other cultures and systems really has influenced the way I look at the world, and I think how I look at our own culture and our agriculture.
I can sense it does. In 20 years' time or 50 years' time, you'd like to see people paying more attention, living more by these values, different values, than just how much is generated from crops?
No, I don't think we have that long. We have to think about it much more quickly than that. We have to think about other parts of our lives, too, and how we use energy to drive our cars around for pleasure, and we could be perhaps walking or bicycling. We try to live in the future in our family. We have one car for 5 people, and we use the city buses. We bike a lot, we jog a lot, and we walk, and I go back and forth and commute with my bike and running every day, 5 miles from door to door. We do things as simply as we can. We compost everything organic that comes out of our house. We recycle as much plastic as we can, all the tin, all the aluminum. Better than that, we try to minimize even bringing that into our house if we can't.
No styrofoam cups.
No styrofoam cups. I'll take a sip.
All right.
With that lead.
Well, I think if this happens, and I hope it does, that it will be due to work that you're doing and other people like you. And I thank you again for taking time out to come and talk to us for the record. It's really been a pleasure.
Thanks.